God, he scored so many goals.
Bastards. I know you're not meant to swear within the first 30 seconds, but bastards. Eh? Fucking foaming still. Well, hello. Yes, we're here. Totally over Tuesday night. Not even angry still at all. Bastards. Hey, how are you, Davy? How are you, Dean? How are you getting on?
I'm all right. Apart from Tuesday night, and I'm gonna miss the match on Saturday. I'm not going to be able to go, so I'm gutted. Which means we'll probably win 6-0, which is a positive. Because every match I miss, we normally do really well, especially the big ones like that. But I'm just I've got an echo in that ear, but I haven't got one in that ear, so I'll take that off there. Right. I don't know what's going on with my sound and everything. I've been recording. I've been doing recordings and stuff, and it's I don't know. Anyway, did something happen this week?
For that, Davy.
What?
French are to blame for that. That's who's to blame for that.
These are
being off. The fact that it's snowing. The fact that I think it's a cunt. The blame for everything. I guess we better get into it, hadn't we? Are you ready?
I am.
You ready?
Yeah.
Ready.
Okay, let's go.
No, I'm not even looking at him. No, go on. You can have a rant, and then I'll see what I've got to say.
Well, do you know what it is, right? I mean, we're having a bit of a laugh of it, and I am still a bit pissed off, to be honest with you. But you know, it's been a little bit of time since then. Have I calmed down? I have a little bit. I am still a bit pissed off. So, you know, unless you've been living under a rock, everybody knows we went to Paris on Tuesday to play in the Champions League round 5 of the group stage against Paris Saint-Germain. And do you know what it is, right? My first rant. This is my first rant. So I really couldn't settle. My brother was over there, and he asked me if I wanted to go. And I was like, no, I'm not going over there. Like, you know, they seem to me like absolute bellends.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, maybe I'm being a little bit judgmental there. Oh no, I wasn't, Davy. They showed them, you know what I mean? Like, you've got a bunch of people going over there for the match, and I know, right? And I think I mentioned it on this video where that French fan who got BF shoved in his face and bottle thrown at him, and I said that was bad crack at the time, and I says, be careful because we've got to go over there.
Yeah.
But I wasn't expecting fans to be attacked by 40 virgins, you know what I mean? Like, who just clearly have got nothing better to do with the time.
Yeah.
You know, a bunch of fans just having a drink, enjoying themselves, and I'm sure everybody's seen the videos. And you know what I mean? They look like the least hard people in the world, throwing a few chairs and a flare, and like, it's like, oh, lads, man.
It's
get
pathetic
laid.
at the end of the day. I mean, a lot of people. Paris is a massive city, and I get that the majority of Paris Saint-Germain fans come from that north side of Paris, and a lot don't bother. I don't think, you know. But I've been to Paris loads, and it's a fantastic place. I love it, and whatever, but you know, every place has its good and its bad, and you know, we've got idiots, they've got idiots, they're idiots all over the place. I think they've got more idiots than we have, like, but you know, it's up to if they want to go on like that, that's up to them, you know.
It seems that way, and you know what it is, right? There's this sort of thing that comes out of Europe of ultras, and like,
it's pathetic.
I like the idea of having a hardcore group of fans that chant right the way throughout the game and make a lot of noise and create an atmosphere and support that way. But then when it's like, you know, covering your face in trying to act hard,
yeah,
like,
I know.
if you were that hard, you wouldn't have to cover your face for a start off. And half of them look about 10-year-olds, and anyways, don't they? Like I say, it's pathetic and sad, really. And it's gonna take somebody getting killed for.
It was pathetic and sad in the 70s and 80s, and now it's just bugger off. We just can't be arsed with it. You know what I mean? Just leave it alone. Just watch the football and leave it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see it.
When I went to Germany, you know what it is. It was so welcoming. You know, the fans could mingle in amongst each other. That big market square, there was Dortmund fans there. There was a bit of banter going on. Yes,
The big market over there.
That's in the big market, is that?
The big market square.
The big market square. Aye. But you know, and that's the way it should be. In the state, you know, they'll get the same hospitality over here. I was speaking to some of the Dortmund fans over there, and this is when they came over here. They were made to feel really welcome. And yes, when it's game time, it's game time. Then you know the tribalism can come out inside the ground in terms of chanting, in terms of getting behind your team. But attacking rival fans just because they're interested in a different team to the one that you're interested in is beyond pathetic. It's beyond pathetic. They must have penises the size of walnuts because they're just clearly. I don't know. It's always annoyed us. It's always annoyed us. I think there's a time and place for everything. And a football match should be a place where you go to enjoy yourself, not worry whether you're going to get stabbed or get a chair thrown off you, or whether you're going to get cornered and beaten up. And do you know what it is? They need to look into it if it's going to continue, because they're not going to stop, are they? They're clearly not going to stop. They want to be seen as these hard people. Oh, hard as fuck me, like throwing chairs and that, like, right? Well, do you know what it is? Just chuck them out the competitions. Just chuck them out.
The problem is a lot of this goes on away from the grounds, and you know, who's to say? You know, there might be people who don't even get tickets. There might be people who don't even go at the game. There might just be local idiots who just wanted. They've got nothing better to do. Do you know what I mean? The way that police, it's being pushed outside of grounds, which is good, but then it's up to local police to stop what's going on.
Well, exactly. They need to get the house in order, and I get what you're saying. And you know, why should normal fans be punished? Well, I'm sorry, get your house in order. Why should our fans be beaten up for going to a football match?
But regardless, I think we should be welcoming of the Milan fans when they come, and everybody, you know, Man United fans. I always have a chat with people when I'm sat. You know, it's the same thing. It's the same thing, and I would say the same in terms of Sunderland fans. I would, honestly, I would. I just don't see the point in all of that. But you know, I think that's for another time.
Yeah, and I've got no problem with tribalism in terms of, you know, supporting your team on the day, and you can have a bit of banter with it. I mean, you go to some of the bars around St James's Park. Daniel, who was on when we had the Arsenal preview, when he comes up for games, we'll both have our colours on. We'll both go to the same bars, and there'll be a mixture of fans. And like I said, there's a little bit of banter, but there's never ever a sniff of violence.
Yeah,
fans will actually take interest in saying, "Oh, what's going on with your team? How do you think you're going to do the way that it should be?"
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
Can you ever imagine that happening in France? Really, in Paris?
Well, you just don't know. It's different.
See it happening, is it?
You just don't know.
But it is a different culture, yes. But let's move on from that. Let's go on to the actual football. That's rant number one out of the way. And the next part, I think, it doesn't have to be too ranty, because let's talk about the first half of football that was played. When I saw the team, it was exactly the team I was expecting to see, the same team from the weekend.
Because we had nobody else.
Yeah, had literally nobody else. We've got a choice of 15 keepers on the bench. But yeah, they started off the better, I would have said, France. They did come out the traps a little bit.
They started really quick, yeah.
But I think we saw that off, and we got into the game. What was your take on the early exchanges?
They immediately. I mean, they were set out as a 4-3-3, but they immediately went into a 2-3-5 right from the start, and that meant the fullbacks pushed up, and the two midfielders aside of the holding midfielder, who was Ugarte, they both pushed up. I can't remember all the names, but they pushed up. So there was it was like a 2-3-2-3. but they were almost like a line of 5, and they just went for it right at the start. And I think they were just thinking, right, let's get an early goal, and then that'll be it. But some of the defending was absolutely brilliant. I mean, they got in behind a couple of times. There was one moment where I think we'd been attacking. We were starting to get into the game a little bit, and they got down our right-hand side, and the ball was put forward. And I think we'd been attacking because Livramento was coming back on that on our right side, and Mbappe got in front of him and did a little flick. Now, if it had been later in the game, I don't think he would have done a little like Hollywood flick. I think he would have tried, something a bit more concrete for to just get the ball in the back of the net. But thankfully he didn't. That was the moment where I thought, whoa, this is going to be difficult. But I think it was just before that, he had come running down his wing. And I mean, he's fast and he's tricky, but he's powerful as well. And Trippier just watched him, and it was a fantastic tackle. Just didn't go to ground.
Amazing.
He just tackled him. He just wouldn't let him pass, and that was it. And that kind of set the whole tone for the rest of the match. But it took us a good 15 minutes or so to really get settled. But then once we were settled, we started passing the ball and playing our game. And I thought, if you take that immediate 15 minutes or so out, the way we settled into it and the way we played that first half, I thought we were the better team and we deserved the goal. And we had another chance. Yes. We had another chance as well before the goal went in.
Wasn't that Almiron on the left hand side won the ball back, ran it along and laid it off to Isaac. Isaac, who probably should have scored really with that one.
He just leant back. It's a difficult one because it's coming in quick, and he's got to get onto it, and he just leant back, and his foot took the ball over. But he should have scored, but it's not easy. It wasn't an easy one, but it was coming in at pace. But
from his from his high standards, I did think that was a good chance for him. But that was the only warning signals for what was about to come from us, because like you said, we did have a really good spell where we had a footprint in the game, and I thought the actual goal itself, Livramento did absolutely fantastically.
Yeah,
young lad playing out of position really on the left hand side.
He's very right-footed.
And the way he dribbled across that box, and then the layoff to Miggy, and I think it got mentioned at the time on the I was watching it on the TV. What do you call it? Miley's run just created that little bit of gap for Miggy to get his shot off. And when the keeper spilled it, I didn't make any mistake this time, did he? Put it in the back of the net, and I thought it was just gambled. Deserved.
He gambled that, if anything happens, I'm going to be in. Rather than thinking, the keeper, I'll save that, I'm not going to bother. He was in there, and that's what the good strikers do, and he's thinking, and he's in. Quicker thinking than their defenders. The keeper, I don't know what he was doing. Supposed to be one of the best, if not the best keeper in the world. And we scored, and I think we deserved it, to be honest. But
I think that shocked the Parisians as well, because it had been really loud in there, like an absolute cauldron. And just for those few minutes while the goal went in, I think there was a little bit of stunned silence there. I think they were expecting just for it to be an absolute steamrolling, get them back to our place. We'll show them what it's like to play in Paris. And when they went 1-0 up, I think there was like a collective, we're going.
But we played some really nice football throughout the side. We were knocking it about. They were difficult. They were getting a lot of ball on our left side, and the passing and movement that they had down that side, that they were absolutely brilliant. Hakimi and Dembele especially, and I kept thinking, get more of the ball to Gordon, but because of the way that he was defended against, he was having to come back on his right foot. And Hakimi's a quick lad as well, but he's very nous, in terms of the defensive positioning. And in the first half, he didn't have many chances, but in a way, just having him on the pitch as a threat, it stopped Hakimi getting that bit further forward. I think he would have liked to have joined in a lot more. And they kind of reverted during that, after that first sort of 10-15 minute period, they reverted to that 4-3-3. We more or less set up straight away as a 4-5-1 because the two wingers were having to come back and stop their fullbacks getting forward, and they were getting forward. And the problem was they were looking for a killer pass from their defenders. It felt to Hernandez loads of the time. And he's a cracking player, and he was looking to play the killer ball. Now, we had 5 men in front of him. What they were obviously trying to do was their two midfielders were trying to find positions in between our midfield and defence. And their strikers were trying to come that little bit deeper to try and do the same. And there was only once or twice he found a ball through, but they were straight on them. Lascelles had a fantastic game defence. As I say, Trippier made some brilliant tackles. So much
man of the match, didn't he, Trippier? I think you got man of the match.
I think you could pick a number of players for man of the match. To be honest, I would have given it to Pope. I thought Pope was tremendous, and they had some real quality. They had real quality, and there were moments in the game in the first half where they did do what they planned and they got through those lines, and then they were trying to play it wide. But our fullbacks were coming narrow to join and help the centre backs, and then when they were out wide, the centre backs were coming out wide to help them out. And Bruno and Joelinton were coming, and Miley, they were all coming back to fill those positions. But then we were getting the ball first half and knocking it around, and I think they were a little bit shocked. Now, second half, obviously, they come out and they wanted to go for it again. But initially, for the first 10-15 minutes or so,
we were countering a bit, weren't we?
10 minutes we were countering, as you say, and it was really unfortunate. Isaac got through, and I thought he was going to hit it with his right foot from about 18 yards.
There was an opportunity there, wasn't it, to hit it?
And he cut in, but then he cut back out again, and he actually played into the defender's hands, and it was Danilo, I think, because Danilo kept his run going, and if he continued going inside, he might have had a chance with his left foot, but he tried to do him by going the other way, but he did it so quick. Danilo was still going, and he actually ended up in front of him and stopped him. And Gordon had an opportunity where he was really unlucky, the pace of the ball, and he got through, and nothing came of it. But there were a few moments, Miggy was up and down, he was all over the place, and some of the passes from midfield, I thought Joelinton was getting really stuck in. He got himself booked in the first half, and I thought it was a bit of a silly booking, because that he wasn't able to kind of do as much as I think he would have liked to second half. But then Isak talked about it in an interview at the end. He thought that we kind of went back to the wall too early, and I think
it was around
58 minutes. It just seemed they brought on quite a few. It was around was it 62 minutes? I think I've got in my head. They made a number of subs, but it was just before that we seemed to be kind of going deeper and deeper, and they were getting nowhere. It was just flat. They were creating nothing, and Mbappe was having to move all over the place because he was getting nothing out of Trippier. And he made the changes, and I think the fresh legs, it wasn't just fresh legs. These were top players who were coming on,
Well, Well, I
And
was sitting watching it in the house, and when it got to like 60 minutes, I could see. I thought, right, this is it now. This is backs against the wall
yeah,
for the
yeah.
next. And my girlfriend came through. It was about 22 minutes to go, and I looked at her and I said, I don't know how I'm going to get through this 20 minutes here.
Oh,
And it felt for all I was thinking, right, we can dig in here. I was thinking to myself, 25, 30 minutes of this is going to be a long time, and they're going to have quite a few chances. And we can't go through them all because
no.
I think that God knows how many chances they did have, but they created a lot. But what we do, sort of, the resilience that we showed, and the fact that they couldn't make those substitutions. I've never seen that sort of resilience
Oh,
from a
no.
team in a very, 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 very long time. Now, sometimes you can look at a team. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. They were kind of like battering on the door for a long time. Now, sometimes you need a bit of luck, and I think we did get a couple of instances of luck, but also at the same time, I think a lot of credit has to be given to the defensive display. It wasn't like they were hanging on. It looked like
It
there
was
was a plan
tremendous.
in place.
Yeah,
There was a plan in place. Everybody knew where they were meant to be. It was going to be a little bit gung ho at times, but it wasn't just sort of like, when you see teams and they're just getting battered and battered and battered,
yeah,
and then you think to yourself, oh God, they look all over the place at defense. Yeah, I don't think we did look all over the place. We did look quite organized in
yeah.
that, and it looked like it was a plan.
I mean,
So
they immediately, because we sat back. I talked about formations, and I like looking at formations and how they develop. It was like Dad's Army. It was like watching Dad's Army, but without the comedy element to it. It was that idea of we are the last gasp defense. You have to get through us. You might be nearly there, but you have to get through us first, and that's what it felt like. And it was just, it didn't feel futile, but there was an inevitability about it. And they went to two at the back. They brought Ugarte off in that 61, 62 minutes, and they brought Vitinha on, and he became the holding midfielder in front of their two. And it ended up because Isak was knackered. You could see he was knackered, and he's not long back from injury. The central defenders basically looked after him. They were like on the edge of our centre circle. And then you had Ugarte, who was almost had a free role in that middle, and he was supposed to be the holding midfielder, but everything that was coming out was coming to him, and he was just able to lay it off because there were 2-1, 2-5 by then. It was just crazy. They had really like it, in a way it was 2-3-5 because he was pushing into that gap as well. And they'd completely inverted the pyramid. Totally. It had gone back to 1903. You know what I mean? The way the teams used to play. And it was like watching a training match, defense versus attack. But it wasn't just like for training. This was, they were putting everything into it. They just battled for every little thing. The one moment for me, I mean, Barcola could have had about 5. He looked 5.
To be fair, out of the substitutions, he's the one that really impressed me the most.
He was going for the worldie. He was going for the worldie every time.
He found himself in the positions where he should have been, and he was a worry for me.
But there was the one moment where Mbappe he was playing centre forward by this time, and he showed everything that he's got. And he came in to our left side, and he literally it was just a shoulder, his strength, and he knocked Shea for 6. Honestly, Shea went down.
I thought he was going to score.
And he got through. He just did this little shimmy, and he got through, and he hit it with his right foot, and it hit Pope, and it come back, and he wellied it with his left foot. And I thought, oh. And Trippier looked as if he was going to like touch it. And he just kind of, his legs just went like that. And he like panicking, but he didn't move them, where his instinct was to stick a leg out. but he kind
Well,
of
to not
he didn't,
really,
and
because if
his
he had
leg,
it,
if
I
you
think it would
watch
have been
it,
an
yeah,
own
his
goal.
legs kind of go like that, and it whizzed past the post, and that was the moment for me, and I thought we could do this here, and then
Well, there's a few
to
bits
me
and
we
pieces
did do it.
Right, there's a few bits and pieces that I want to talk about now. Everybody says the referee had a good game up until that point. He did ish, I think, because
I thought he did.
there was a couple of incidents one that nobody picked up on, and I thought, hang on a second, am I the only one that's seen that? Can you remember when Dembele got booked
Yeah,
for taking out Anthony Gordon? So he took out Anthony Gordon. He's getting his card out, right? Dembele looks across and blasts the ball into the stands. I thought, well, hang on a second. You're about to book him here for that foul. Is
yeah.
that not another yellow card right there?
I
Is that
wasn't
another
sure if he
yellow
was
card?
going to book him for the foul, and I've got a feeling he booked him for that. I think
Do
he
you?
was thinking. I'm not certain, but I thought,
I felt he was going to book him because I thought Dembele was a foul away from getting a yellow card, in anyways, because
yeah,
he had done a couple, and when he did that one, I thought, oh well, he's going to get his card now. He's definitely going to get his card now. And then when he booted the ball away and he booked him, I thought, oh, should there not be a second there? Maybe he's right. Maybe he
I'm
wasn't
not
going to book him
certain.
for the.
I think he might have been going to have a word with him. It might have been like, "This is your last chance, mate," kind of thing. You know. I don't
And
know.
we'll talk about the penalty incidents as well, because out of all of them, the only one I thought that probably had a bit of a shout with was the Gordon one. What was it, on Dembele, where they said he got a touch of the ball, and I didn't think that he did. When he just ran into the box, and Gordon was coming across, and he stuck his leg out, and Dembele went over. And when you watched it in real time, I thought, oh, it's a lovely tackle, that. And then I think it got checked by VAR, and they said no penalty. And then when I saw the replay back, I thought, oh, I think he's been a little bit lucky there.
he did
If he had to give
slightly
the
touch
penalty, I
him.
don't think they would have overturned it.
Yeah, because he did slightly touch him, but it wasn't enough to give a penalty, and I thought the referee made a good decision with that.
Then there was the Maley one, which again
It was never a
wasn't.
penalty.
And this ties into the later decision, because it wasn't a penalty. It's come up off his thigh. What can he do about it? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So, and this is this is the part that's really infuriated about the decision that was given at the end, is they can't turn around and say that they're not implementing that rule when they've already implemented it in that
Yeah.
game earlier on. So they haven't given that penalty on Miley because it's deflected off another part of his body. So then how can you then turn around? Because
Yeah.
I'm seeing some people saying, oh, this thing from UEFA, it's just a recommendation. These get given all the time in Europe. So why wasn't it given then? So are they saying, oh, we're going to implement it sometimes, but then sometimes we're not going to implement it? Like, what's the difference there? What is the difference there? Because I'm to say that I was furious was when I saw it in real time. We're talking about the Livramento one now, and I hadn't seen it deflected off his body. I saw the elbow, and I saw it hit off the elbow, and I thought, oh shit, we could be in trouble here. And I'd sent a text to Sai saying, oh, I think this could be a penalty here. And they don't show you the replay straight away.
Yeah.
And the first time, and I'm not even a professional referee. The first time I saw it, the first replay, I went,
Yeah.
that isn't a penalty. And so did everybody else in the world.
Yeah.
Everybody
Oh,
else in
no.
the world looked and said, that isn't a penalty. It's come up not just off his body, it's come off his leg, onto his body, onto his arm. There's two deflections in there. What on earth can you do about that? Absolutely nothing. And I would love to know what they've been saying in his ear. What have they been saying? And what did he see on the screen? Did he just see a still image of the ball on the elbow because he's went like that? Or have they showed him the deflection because he had a good game up until that point? And how can somebody just look at that and say, "Oh yeah, that's a penalty"?
The fact that the VAR official was taken off the game on Wednesday, UEFA, I haven't seen them actually come out and say anything, but to me, that is basically admitting that the VAR official should not have highlighted that. He should not have got the referee to stop the game and go and have a look at it because of what you've just said, because it hit his chest. The ball's coming over. Now, when you watch it slowly, it's like, oh, his arm's there. It comes at pace. It was a real come, and he's only 2 yards away.
Mm-hmm.
How can you move? The thing is, right, when you play football, that you can tell if somebody's hands by their side, they might move it a tiny little bit, but they move it towards the ball to try and stop the goal, right? They actually move the hand towards the ball. A deliberate move, a deliberate handball. Now, to me, that is, when I used to play back in the day, if it touched your hand, it didn't matter. It was handball and that was it. It didn't matter how,
Mm-hmm.
And even if it touched your shoulder back then, from here down, any part of your arm was handball. And it was just tough luck. If it had a ricocheted off 4 backsides and then hit your arm, it's tough. It used to be a penalty. They've looked at it and they've changed the rules so many times. And they go on about this natural position. When you play football, right, when you're moving, when you're jumping, when you're running, you're running to get back. You don't run like that with your arms by your side. You don't jump like that with your arms by your side. It's not, that is unnatural. So,
yeah, exactly. When players put their hands behind the back, to me, that's an unnatural. Your arms in an unnatural position.
To me, this rule about your arm being in a natural or unnatural position is a load of crap, because your arm is where your arm is. Now, they should be able to tell, and anybody who's played the game before, whether you're a ref or not, you can look at it and you can see whether someone's like gone like that. And the arm might still be by the side, but they've literally brought that, the arm could be inside and brought it out there, but it's a deliberate movement, right? If they go like that to deliberately get the ball, that you don't jump like that with your hand right up in the air. It should be a deliberate movement. To me, that's what handball should be. It's got nothing to do with where your arms are. It's got nothing to do with that.
What's really telling for me, Davey, is what you mentioned before, that this video, this VAR guy is being dropped, but nothing's happening to the referee. So what that tells me,
yeah, exactly.
It's either what he showed him on the screen, he hasn't showed him the full story. He's, which doesn't sit right with me, because if that was the case, and I'm that referee and I'm a good referee, I'm saying, well, hang on, can you show us it in motion? Can you show us it from the other angle? Can you show us it from in real time? Can you show us it in slow motion? Those are the questions the top referee will be asking. So if it's not that, then what is it? Is it what he said?
Yeah, exactly.
I want to know what he said to the referee when he's been over there. What has he said to him? Has he turned around and said, it's a definite penalty? And then once somebody's saying to you, it's a definite penalty, what are you going to do? Stand there and argue with your VAR man?
Now, but he should do.
The referee as well.
The referee knows. He knows the rules, exactly. And the referee should have stood his ground.
The referee should have looked at that, right? Now, the other reason he'll be getting dropped as well is because of the Miley incident. How can you change your mind halfway through? Why did you not send him for that one, but you've sent him for that one?
You see, the Miley one,
the last kick of the game.
The Miley one, it comes off his leg, but his arm is right next to his side.
And but it's a deflection nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly. It's hit his, so it's both. So it's a deflection, and it's hit his arm, and there's nothing he can do. His arm's in a natural position, so they say, right? Mm-hmm. His arm was by his side, and I think that's why they haven't given that one. If his arm had been out here, they would have given it.
But, and I don't buy all these conspiracy theories as well, that it's corruption and it just so happens that the guest was the bloke from UEFA and the one Paris in the Champions League. Like he's standing in the VAR room with a pile of money going, oh, give that one, give that one, give that one.
I tell you the thing that are still
really shit officiating.
I'm going to say one more thing, and then I think we should move on, because it's all been said. But the one thing that I still don't understand, right? You've got no substitutions by Newcastle. You've got one goal in the first half. So you had 3 minutes injury time, I think, in the first half. There was Miggy went down for about 30 seconds, and that was the only time a trainer came on. So aside from if you add it up, right, 30 seconds for 5 subs.
It was 4 subs, wasn't it?
I think well, either way, I haven't got it anymore. But if there was 4 or 5, even if there was 5, it's 2.5 minutes, 40 seconds for Miggy. Round that up to a minute. There's 3.5 minutes, and then if they're going on about maybe a bit time wasting here and there by Pope, that's up to the referee for to control as well. That shouldn't be added on to me. If the referee should be saying, take it, and that, to me, there should have been a maximum, even if you add on a minute and a half. When you think about the seconds here and there, we didn't get a chance to time waste anywhere else because the ball was going straight back to them. It was going out for throw-ins to them. They were then taking those throw-ins and whatever.
Oh, I know.
You know what I mean? We didn't have any opportunities to slow the game down and time waste other than when the ball went out. So there's no way that there was, to me, 4.5 minutes. 4.5 minutes, if you add them other things together, to add up to 8 minutes. That's what I don't understand.
And had this been the Premier League, I probably would have.
Still would have
where it was
12 minutes.
But I probably wouldn't have batted an eyelid. But the fact of the matter is, at the beginning of the season, when the Premier League were putting these extra minutes on those, fans are getting robbed out of ticket.
UEFA said they weren't going to be doing.
They said we will not be implementing that. We think it's too much.
I know.
So
and then
what was the change? What was the change? I was watching Manchester United play Galatasaray last night, which was a cracking game, by the way. But it was just like I think it was 3 minutes in the first half, 3 minutes in the second half, and throughout it, that was the only game that did it in. The only one.
I know, and there was no reason for it. Miggy was the only one that went down, but that's it, and it's gone. But my overriding emotion now is not anger. I went through, you saw you wouldn't have seen them, but people would have seen my tweets. I was absolutely livid. I was just so furious. It was just unbelievable. And even Ali McCoist, he said he didn't even have a dog in the race, and he was furious. He's ex-Sunderland, but Ali McCoist is a proper commentator, proper football man, and he wasn't the only one. Everybody knows that should not have been a penalty, but I've kind of moved on to the fact of I have overriding pride of the lads, and he didn't make any substitutions, and he explained why, and he said they were doing so well and they were playing that 4-5-1. The only one for me that he should maybe have brought off was Isak. Because Isak he wasn't winning anything. He wasn't able to hold the ball up at all. He's the only one that I would have brought off in the last 15 minutes and kept his, legs, and put somebody, even a young lad, who would be able to, run and maybe try and get the ball and run and take it and pass or take it down until he was fouled or something along those lines, to be instructed to do that. That's the only thing that I would have done, because that wouldn't change the formation of the 4-5 and the players who were basically set and doing the job. And it's like, you bring in reinforcements. Those reinforcements are starting cold. They've got to get used to what's going on. And he deliberately didn't make any changes. I thought at one point he might have brought Dummett on and gone 5 at the back, and maybe even brought Isak off and gone 5 at the back and put somebody like Miggy further forward. But he didn't want to change that, and I understand why, and I think he was right. I just think Isak should have come off, because Isak was knackered, and he wasn't really able to do anything by then.
I agree, and I think even towards the end, once we got into the injury time, I thought myself, we should maybe bring somebody on for Isak, even just to run the clock down a bit. But look, before the game, if somebody had offered us a draw, I would have snapped the hands off.
Oh,
absolutely snapped the hands off.
If you think about it,
and when you look at the matches, when you look at the matches as a whole, I don't think you can deny them a draw. It was just the manner in which the draw came about, that really leaves a bitter taste in the mouth.
The one more thing that I'm going to say is, like, sort of Mbappe, you can understand he was frustrated and saying, you know, we battered them and we had so many shots and we did this, that, and the other. And there's two sides to that coin. Yeah, they were brilliant coming forward and they had loads of opportunities, but our keeper had a fantastic night. Our defenders, all midfielders, everybody had a fantastic night defending that goal. And that's the other side of it. You've got to be good enough to score in any situation, and they weren't good enough to score in open play.
Exactly.
And to me, the fact that we're livid about it, we've beaten Paris Saint-Germain. Do you know what I mean? In the group of death, we've drawn in Milan, we've beaten Paris Saint-Germain, and we are furious that we've only got a draw away from home.
Exactly.
And that sums it up for me. And the lads will go again, and it'll be. I haven't looked at picking a team because it'll be the same team because we.
Well, you've just come up with a perfect segue. We will go again. We will go again, and we'll go again on Saturday night at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock on Saturday night. I'll be fucking mortal. I'll not remember the match.
See that's another reason why I know for a fact I'm not going to be able to make it, because by then, as the day goes on, I just feel worse and worse as the day goes on, and for the match to be between 8 and 10, there's just no way I'm going to be able to do it. I can hardly move, and it's just.
Well, it's a shame you can't be there, but I will be there. And I tell you what, right? I love games against Manchester United these days. I do. I used to dread them because, you know, growing up, Davy, they were just the one team I couldn't abide because they always used to pipwit everything. The pipwit of the cup, the pipwit of the league. Alex Ferguson, as much as he was an incredible manager, what a fucking Burke. I hated him. I hated him. And I hated him because he always used to do the number on one. But these days, times are ever changing. And I think it's in James's Park on Saturday night. It's going to be difficult. Look, they've just had a Champions League game last night, which I don't know whether you watched it or not. It was a tremendous game.
I watched the last 20 minutes or so.
Was a tremendous game, but they put a lot of effort into it. So they're going to be quite tired as well, but they can rotate a bit better than us. That haven't been said. They do have a few injuries themselves, but there was times on Tuesday where I was thinking to myself, God, they put a lot of effort into this game here. I hope there's not a bit of a hangover come Saturday night. What's your thoughts going into the game? How are you reading it? Do you think there's going to be any kind of huffing and puffing like we saw against Bournemouth when we had that intense game just beforehand? Or do you think this time there's enough space and enough time to try and get back at it?
I'm hoping, with it being a Tuesday, the lads have got an extra day. And they, thankfully, their match was back and forwards. It was, it was like a school game, the bit there are. So, where one team attacks and then the other team attacks. It was like basketball, and they were running all over the place.
Great to watch.
And they were able to bring substitutes on, but when you look at their substitutes, they brought Martial on for Højlund. And Martial's one of those players where, he can be decent on his day, but he doesn't have his day very often. And they brought Dalot on for Wan-Bissaka, and I think that was to kind of get him going forward a bit more. Pelistri and a guy called Mino for Amrabat. And their bench didn't really have anybody else, that are, there's like Reguilon maybe, Varane. There's a couple of kids and stuff, and a couple of players I don't know a great deal about, but I've got a feeling that they'll be playing their same 11. There might be a case where the subs start, but I don't think they will. I think he'll start with Højlund. I think he'll start with Garnacho. I was surprised when they brought him off, to be honest.
So was that.
I think they'll start with Amrabat, unless he's injured. But he made a double substitution, so I don't think he would have been injured. and I don't think Wan-Bissaka was injured. The thing about Man United, I mean, they aren't the team, you know, but I watched them against Everton last week, and they scored that fantastic goal, which was far better than Rooney's, by the way. Rooney's hit the top of his shin.
It did.
Rooney's
was slightly more central as well, wasn't it?
Lads who used to play with me know that I used to score goals like that. Every month I'd score, you know, I'd be disappointed if a month went by and I hadn't scored an overhead kick and or a scissors kick or whatever, you know. And the thing is, to me, they're not difficult to do. It's all about timing, and it's, you know. But I remember one of my earliest memories when I first went to school, because I could write when I started school, and the teacher, there was only a couple who could actually write, and she said, I want you to do drawings, but if you can, I want you to write something underneath it. And I wrote that I wanted to be a centre forward for Newcastle, like Super Mac, and score an overhead kick. And I had a picture of Super Mac scoring an overhead kick. And it's harder to draw someone doing an overhead kick to me than actually doing one. And I used to go in the street and I used to practice and practice and practice. And my dad used to take us and I'd practice and practice. Anyway, they've got players who are capable of doing that. And they did. For the rest of the game, if you hadn't seen that it was 1-0, you would have think Everton were at the top of the table, who were absolutely battering them. They had the whole game. Man United just looked very ordinary and poor. And then they ended up winning, got another goal, and then another goal. And you're like, how did they do that? But that's what Man United do. And they did it against us in the cup final. They were awful, but we were knackered.
And this is what I'm saying.
This is the worry. This is the concern. Yeah, exactly.
We need to learn from Everton's mistakes and all mistakes in the final. And I had similar thoughts. And I guess I get this sort of most games, but especially for this one. And especially the way when you look at the bench and just the way games are going to go on and we're going to get more tired. The first half for us is so important. I think we need a lead. If one, hopefully two, preferably.
Yeah.
Because the game against Chelsea, when we got the lead, and you know, it took a little bit of pressure off the second half. Then when we got the second, and then the third, it was like, right, now we can relax a little bit. We don't have to have the same intensity. We don't have to keep pressing as hard, because we've got that little bit of breath, and then we can bring substitutions on and not worry about it.
The problem with Man United is they've got a really good defense most of the time. The defense looks good, but the keeper looks really dodgy as well.
Oh God, and not.
You know, and I think we'll have like Bruno, we'll have Miggy, we'll have Gordon, all shooting from outside the box and testing them, and then you'll have the others who'll be pelting in to try and, you know, if he spills it. I think that's what will end up happening is we will be peppering his goal. And, you know, if we try and come out and play the way that we can play and really go for it in that first 20, 25 minutes and try and get a goal, we don't have to go back to the wall the way that we did against Paris Saint-Germain. But, you know, we can still play our game. And I think they're there for the taking. The problem is we've got the same 11 players. I mean, Hall might play, but I cannot see him dropping Livramento.
No.
And you certainly won't drop Trippier. And I think the only reason Hall would be playing is if he plays him in midfield, but I don't think he would be dropping any of those players.
Absolutely not.
And I don't think any of the injured players are ready to come back. I heard somebody saying that they saw Botman come out of training, but he might have been in to give someone a Christmas card. You don't know.
Aye.
They will still be in there. They'll still be taking part. They'll be getting treatment. They'll still be there. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? But that doesn't, to me, it doesn't say anything at all. I don't think Botman would get straight back in, because Lascelles
Oh, he
has
wouldn't.
been
He
brilliant.
wouldn't. He
He'd have
wouldn't.
to. He'll have to fight for his place, you know.
He wouldn't. Is any news on Harvey Barnes? Because there was people saying that he might have been ready after the international break, but it sounds as though that there wasn't really.
I
I think it's still
honestly,
going to be the new year. I
yeah,
think.
I look every now and then because most of it is just people speculating and just making their own minds up as to what's going to happen. The only people that know what's going on with those injuries are the players who've got the injuries, and Eddie Howe and the staff at Newcastle. They're the only ones that really know. So we don't know, you know. Hopefully some of the players will be able to come back sooner because we've got a heck of a lot of fixtures coming up, and none of them are easy. You know, I mean, I try not to look ahead too much. I don't know which one we're playing through the week, but it's, you know, my focus is on Saturday. But I think we'll be playing the same 11, but I think they'll be playing their same 11 as well.
That's what I think as well.
The difference being is their 11 can be replaced by substitutes that are of the same quality. Our 11, we've got, you know, Dummett can come on, we've got Hall can come on, Richie will be there. You know,
it's about it, really.
And Kraft as well. Kraft will be there because Richie and Kraft weren't in the squad for. They weren't registered.
Weren't allowed to be in, were they?
Yeah, so the thing is, you know, we'll have a few players there. We've got a few kids who, you know, hopefully they take a chance if need be. But I think it's going to be one of those. It might end up being like the Galatasaray game. It might be back and forwards. But Man United, I think
need to hope we're out of sight by then. We've just got to hope we're out of sight.
I think they'll try and come out early, but I think we'll try and do the same. And it's whoever puts that stamp on early on, really, I think will end up winning the game. And I'm not going to be there, so it'll be 6-0 to us. So I'm confident, you know.
Well, there you go. I don't think there's any point in we're going through the Newcastle team. We all know what it's going to be. But is that what you're going for? 6-0, is it?
6-0 Newcastle.
Right. Let's have with scores and with score lines and with scorers. What are you going to go for?
Minus who's not going to score if I'm going for 6-0. No, honestly, I think it'll probably be 2-1 to us. I'm going to go for 2-1. I think they might get a 1 because they always do. But it could be anything. It's one of these. You just don't know. I fancy Gordon. I think Gordon will... I think he'll get the better of both Wan-Bissaka and Darlow, whoever they play. And I think he'll, you know, having that extra day to them, I think he'll just want to go for it. And I think Isak will score. I think there'll be one. I think he'll just say pepper the goal and you pick up whatever's left, you know.
Well, I'm going for 2-0. I'm going for an Isak brace.
Good.
I do think, and I think Isak as well will be looking at this game, and he'll be thinking to himself, if and when I get the chance to get a shot off, I'm getting a shot off against old jelly hands.
It's going to be interesting to see how we start, because I think we'll press early on the way that we normally do for the first half an hour, but then I think we're going to have to like drop off a bit because
it's going to be pressing at the correct times, isn't it?
We can't do it all the way through the games.
No,
like
can't.
Every game, you know, we just can't do it. And we'll end up getting more injuries and players will be overtired. And you just don't want that, you know.
It's pressing at the correct times, isn't it? And what we do need to do is in the second half, we do need to try and keep possession a little bit better than we did on Tuesday. Now, I get that was the game plan on Tuesday, but we do need a little bit more of a breather. I think trying to win these free kicks and try and get the ball up there pitch just to waste a bit of time a little bit more if we are getting tired towards the end of the game, and not just sort of booting it out without anybody to hit and it coming straight back outward. I think that's going to be important, because I've got a feeling the last 10 minutes or so is probably going to be Man United. trying to score against us if they're behind. And who knows? Hopefully, you know, we're doing a video next time and we're saying, oh God, what we're talking about? We absolutely thrashed them.
The reason why I think that we should press them for that first half an hour and press the way that we do is because you're talking about they're likely to play Maguire and Lindelof, who are both, they've both got a mistake in them. They've both got a trip over, fall on their arse, leave the ball mistake in them. And, you know, pass the ball the wrong pace to whoever they're trying to go to. And, you know, the way that we can pounce, that's why I think we should press for that first 25, 30 minutes. And then we need to ease off a little bit, you know. But it's just one of them. McTominay is a danger man for me, to be honest. And I think he's been playing really well recently. And he's decent in defense and he gets forward and he's, you know, he's one of these that can like just come in from deep where people don't pick him up. And then he, you know, he's a decent player. You know, people were, when it was mentioned that we were possibly going for him, I personally thought, well, we've got Longstaff, who is as good, if not better. But on his day, McTominay is a really good player. I think
he is. I think he comes under some unfair criticism sometimes.
And he is dangerous coming from deep, and I think he's the danger. But I think our midfield will better their midfield. I mean, they're chopping and changing with their midfield with who they want in it and who's the best players and this, that, the other.
Can't get settled, can they?
Yeah, I think ours, you know, and Miley's hopefully, you know, he's 17. He, you know, aside from having to get the plane straight back so he could be at school for 9 o'clock the next day, you know, he's playing like a 25-year-old, isn't he? He can put a shift in, you know. So
prospect for the future that we need to keep a hold of, and he's been thrust into the limelight, but he's handling it like
he deserves it.
He's doing it all of his life.
He's definitely good enough. It doesn't matter how old you are. He's definitely good enough.
You're good enough. He's football and brains there, which is the main thing. But look, we're running out of time, so we're going to wrap it up there. If you've gotten this far in the video, thank you very much. Give her a like, give her a comment down below with your scorers and your scoreline. Hit the subscribe button, and if you're a French Parisian fan who heard me rant earlier on, can I just say, tough fucking cheese. I'd say it all again. But no, thank you very much. We'll be back next time where we'll have a little look back at the Man U match, and hopefully we're not ranting about VAR this time, and we're having a celebration to see that Newcastle United has picked up another 3 points. But until the next time, come on.
Away.